So I came up with a way I wanted to thank you guys for how awesome you are, and here it is.
I see what's happened this year. Face to face with changes, it was weird. Lots of new tools, systems, and joys. It's incredible. Through it all, our mission never changed. Open your heart and let us begin. It was quite a year at Ridgeline. Breathe it in. I know it's a lot. Sense it's self-remark. But it's you who was the superstar. What can I say except you're awesome? For you, Jay, I know you every day. Hey, it's okay, you're awesome. Because of you, we're here today. Hey, what has the drive and held on tight? When challenges were piling up high, you got budget was tight to watch they're spinning right. You're looking at them, yo. Whoa. Oh, also you brought in the heart. You're awesome. To lead your staff and bring the fun. You kept your team's eye on the prize. You're awesome. To fill up your communities. So what can I say except you're awesome? For you, Jay, I know you every day. Hey, it's okay, you're awesome. Because of you, we're here today. You're awesome. See, honestly, I can go on and on. I can complain. Ridgeline's a phenomenon. The family's residents, oh, they have the reason we all stick around. We met every challenge, strengthened our team, stuck with the mission, cause that is the dream. What is the lesson? What is the takeaway? You are the reason that Ridgeline is here today. Look at this room. See all the grins. You are behind all the victories we win. Look where we've been. You made it happen. There's more to do, but we will be clapping. Well, anyway, let me say you're awesome. For you, Jay, I know you every day. Hey, it's okay, you're awesome. Just because of you, we're here today. Hey, it's your day to say you're awesome. 'Cause you've all got our votes. That's what we say you're awesome. 'Cause Ridgeline can do anything you know. You're awesome. And thank you.
Thank you. That's my little thank you. You guys are indeed awesome. And I was going to just sing it like here, and then I realized I could not do the rap. That took like 37 takes, and it was really bad. And then finally, like, you know what, it's fine. The other thing is, we've been talking a lot during this whole little soiree together about how we are here to help and we want feedback. And when you do give feedback, you have the power to change things and how we do them. So you all are familiar with the intranet reports, right? Yeah, intranet report. I'm alone in that one? Okay. So we realize over time that there is maybe one report that is kind of overkill and maybe we don't need it. And that is the month in review report. So as of today, it is gone. Thank you. I knew that you would. I did get accounting's approval. Well, I got Jenny's, and isn't she accounting? So so we're going to go back to the way we used to do it, which is just that variance report, the one sheet, and then your regional will be like, hey, answer these 5 questions. Okay? But the trade-off is that I need the other intranet reports done every single day and 100% accurate. I'm not going to point anybody out, but there are some buildings that we will tell the ownership group, hey, we only had 40 hours overtime. And then P&Ls come out and we had 759 hours overtime. So we need you to watch those a little bit better, but we lightened your load a little bit. So I thought you guys would like that. All right, so what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about the interactive administrator. It all comes down to who? You. To you, right. And there's a game I'm going to be playing throughout this that is only for my own enjoyment. Michelle. Thank you. Okay, so where's my clicker? Here it is. The interactive manager. It starts.
Whatever you're on.
I am just on a love of life and enjoying my career. Right. Okay, so it all starts with ownership. Ownership is the backbone of any good operation. Everybody knows that. I am constantly talking about ownership and what else, Lisa Harrison?
Accountability.
Accountability, right? So, but it's not something easy. If we all can do this together, a team can be successful, or they can fall apart if you're not all in it together. And I just did something. Haha! Ownership takes focus, self-discipline, and a watchful eye, which is something we've all been talking about here today, right? Time management, the mission, evaluating yourself, bless you. So how does it work? Ownership is embedded in all aspects of the community. It bridges the gap between the two aspects of the overall community, operations and sales, right? Two sides, but they are hand in hand, right? Anybody who has interviewed with me, I always ask what question? Michelle. I am putting you on the spot. Jeff Bunch. Nita. What question do I always ask about operations and sales? It's all right, you're off the hook. Whenever I interview somebody, I say, can you tell me the division of operations and sales? What % of your time goes to both? And the correct answer is 100. There is no divide. They are directly linked. And I saw Jill looking at me all nervous, like it's going to be 5% sales, 95% operations. It's 100, and that is super hard to balance, and it's super hard to keep your focus on both and keep your eye on the prize if you're alone. But lucky for all you guys, you're not alone, right? Well, some of you might be at the moment, but for the most part, you have a team that helps you, right? So ownership of a team towards this community starts with you, the administrator, demonstrating, I better not read today, ownership within yourself. So how do we do that? How do we create ownership? How do you create ownership, Taylor?
I sing.
You sing?
No, I don't sing.
Okay. How do you create ownership in yourself?
In myself?
Yeah.
I hold everybody else accountable.
Do you?
Yeah.
But is holding everybody else accountable ownership in yourself, Kim?
I just keep myself on track and stay organized and hit it first thing in the morning. I go by what you presented when you first started.
Oh, you are good. Throwing it right back at me. Nice job. So ownership in yourself, before you can hold other people accountable, you got to hold yourself accountable, right? And there's certain ways you have to do that. And you guys should know, everybody else has been like, I'd really like you to participate and help. I make you. So I just point at you and make you do things whenever I want to. Taylor. Thank you. All right, so before an administrator can create ownership in the team, they must be accountable to themselves. So this is a strong mark of an effective leader and the basis for taking ownership of the community. To be seen as a leader who takes ownership, you must explain who you are as a leader. And Chuck kind of touched on this, figuring out who we are and what it is we do and why we do it. So you want to tell your team right away, how do you prefer to communicate? Do you like healthy confrontation? Do you like yes men? I sure don't. Do you prefer to be emailed with? Do you prefer a phone call? Do you like to yell in the morning? So if they want to talk to you, it should be after 10 a.m. or they're going to get yelled at, right? You need to know those things. My son, my oldest, when he was a baby, every day from 5:30 to 6:30, he screamed like a lunatic, and there was nothing we could do about it. So what we did is we put him in his crib at that time, let him scream like a lunatic, and then we went and got him, and he was happy as a clam. Nothing helped. Bottles, changing his diaper, holding him, loving him, singing to him, getting mad at him, didn't work. What is expected of your team? People need to know what you expect from them, right? So if I say, hi, I'm John, I'm your new boss. I am somebody who appreciates healthy debate. I like to be spoken to directly. I don't like to be sugar-coated. Just put it out there, it's who I am. And those of you who know me, some better than others at this point, that's exactly who I am. You say what you want to say. I don't get upset about it. We talk about it and we work it out. People need to know that about you. People need to know what your expectation is. So if I say, my expectation is, hey, Jen, if I say, you know what, I would like to have this apartment flipped. When are you going to do it for me? And then Jen would say,
3 days.
3 days. I'd say, great. I'd be like, all right, well then in 3 days, I'm going to assume that Jen's going to have it done. She knows the expectation is that in 3 days, I'm going to go back to her and I'm going to say, is the apartment done? Absolutely it is. Now in a perfect world that works, but sometimes the answer is more like, no, I didn't do it. I ran out of time, or I didn't want to, or whatever the reason is. So you have to have expectations for your team and they have to know what they are, okay? What drives us as an assisted living professional? That's an important one. And Carolee, I will give her a little shout out, has this book she gives, Start with Why. And that's what that's kind of about. You have to know why you're doing something. Because if the reason you're doing this job is because you want a paycheck, then you're in the wrong job, right? It's just not for you. If the reason you're doing this job is just because you like to sit down and play checkers with seniors all the time, you're a little closer, but this particular job, probably not for you. If you're here because you want to have an impact on seniors, you want to have an impact on their families, you want to have an impact on the staff, and you really want to make a difference for everybody and bring that JIW mission to everybody, then you're in the right spot, right? If all you want to do is play checkers, then you should be an activity director, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's your goal is to just to interact with them and do those fun things and hug them and love them every single day, day in and day out, then yeah, that's the job for you and it's perfect for you, right? Okay. And then why are you here? Right? So you need to tell your team how you communicate, what you expect of them, why you chose assisted living, and then why you are here right now, right? Why are we here in this room right now, Jill? You didn't think I was going to call on you, did you?
Inspire and learn and to grow and to collaborate and bond.
Right. We're here to learn how to do our job better and hopefully make some friends. I know some of you, it's the first time I got to meet you face to face, right? And it's some of you, Megan, wanted to try and trick me up like I wouldn't know who you are. She walks in the building, she's like, hi.
And he got it right.
Yep. I said, hello, Megan.
Name, property, location.
Yep, from Alder Bay in Eureka. That's right, boom. And I believe I even said boom after. You want to eliminate the leadership drainer questions. Whenever you're in a leadership position, there are certain things that you will say that will take away from your effectiveness as being seen as a leader, okay? Some of those phrases, and Jeff and Michelle, who have worked for me in a previous life, know these. It was like that when I got here. Nothing will shut me down quicker than if I'm in a building and we see there's some challenges, right? And we all have them. And I say, hey, let's see, Linda, you know, your assessment system is kind of a mess. We're behind on like 30 people. Can you tell me what we're doing toward that? And you go, it's like that when I got here. So, I don't know. Well, it probably was like that when you got there, right? But doesn't mean we're going to keep it that way, right?
Challenges, but we're working on it.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. If my day 30 on the job, Lisa Shelton comes in and she goes, you know, John, the NOI isn't really improving at all, and you're kind of supposed to be working with people on that. And then I go, well, Lisa was like that when I got there. Do you think Lisa would be like, oh, fair enough. You want to go get lunch? No, that's not how it works. The other one, number 2, I told so-and-so to do it, and they wouldn't listen. What's our job, Christy? Verify. Good job, love. Nice one, Lynn. Yes, we need to verify that somebody did it. Because quite often, and we talked about this too, if we didn't explain what is needed, or that person didn't have the skill set to do it, or they just didn't want to, which happens, right? We can't just assume it was done. So if Chuck calls me up, he goes, John, I just had the greatest idea for Waverly. We want to be like cutting edge and be the best in the business. I think we should have a time machine that rejuvenates people 6 years. And I say, that's awesome. And then I go, hey, Carolee, Chuck wants a time machine. Thanks, right? And then Chuck calls me, he's like, how's that time machine? I'm like, oh, I told Carolee to do it, it's awesome. We got it, don't worry about it, right? That's not effective communication. You cannot blame shift. Blame shifting, all of you have heard me say. I don't want to hear, nor does your regional, you shouldn't want to hear it from your staff, that you told somebody to do it and they wouldn't listen. Because if they're not listening, it means that you aren't communicating it effectively and you're not getting their buy-in. You're not getting their commitment, right? Now you see how a lot of things we've been talking about these last couple days are circling all back into now, right? Teaching you how to be the most effective leader you can be. I don't know. And the truth is there's a lot we don't know, right? It's okay to not know, but you want to replace this with I'll get back to you or I'm going to find out. Nobody knows everything, right? With the exception of Mika. Nobody knows everything. It's okay to not know, but you have to know where to get it. There's no administrator on the face of the planet who knows everything, but you do know that you have a support team that can know, does know, or will find out for you. That's where we have to be effective and use those tools. Now you have that line that we just learned about today in time management. You don't want to say, I'll get back to you, and then not, because that's going to do two things. Number one, it's going to add a monkey to your desk, right? Number two, it's going to make them think that you don't care, right? So if Caitlin comes up to me and says, hey, John, I can't get my memory care coordinator to get out of her office. Can you help me with that? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get back to you on that. And then I never do. How do you feel, Caitlin? Not good. Like, John doesn't care. John Ray's terrible. He's not a support system. So you want to make sure that you're not saying you don't know, but that you are saying you'll get back, and then you need to get back, okay? Share your plan and your team's role in it. People follow a leader who knows the path, speaks with confidence, and ownership, right? Like, I'll follow Chuck today after his presentation this morning. He knows where he wants to go. He knows where our weaknesses are. He knows where his own weaknesses are. He explained to us how we would fit in and how we'll roll that out in our buildings. That's somebody that you want to follow. So if you're not telling your staff at your building, you know what? My goal is to hit 100%. My goal is to increase our NOI through expense control. And here's how you can help me. If you tell somebody, hey, I need apartments painted, right? Okay, I'll get them painted. There's no timeline, there's no deadline, there's no urgency to it, there's no reason why other than Jen just wanted an apartment painted, right? And we don't want that. Explain the plan for the team's success and how we see it coming together. So, I want to build my census, right? So what that means is, Jill, I need you to up your outreach. What other areas can we do? What referral source can we go to that we haven't done? Megan, my activity director, we need bigger events that we can bring the people in. How can we do that? What can we do? Jen, maintenance, I need all these apartments ready to go, because if somebody comes in and they go, I want to move in right now, we need to be able to move them in right now. You want to link everything together. There is no separate teams. There is no, I'm in administration. I hear this all the time, I don't like it. Like, let's say Michelle's an administrator and Linda's our salesperson, and I go, hey, Michelle, what's your census? I don't know, let me go ask Linda. You should know your census, right? Now, I could be mean and start pointing at people going, give me your census, but I'm not going to do that. You should know that information, okay? What is their role in the plan, and how is their success measured? So now I've said, Taylor, I need the dining services to be better. We want from scratch cooking. We want plates that look amazing like we just did with Top Chef, right? Hobart did an amazing job. Well, if we don't explain to them how their success is going to be measured, then it's short-lived. So how many buildings in here that participated in Top Chef? It's dwindled, and they're no longer showing that same level of excitement. Is Hobart still doing it? Is LaPorte still doing it? Yeah? Flower Mound, is he still doing it? All right. Casper, fizzle out a little bit. Yeah? Westlake? Yeah? You want to keep the excitement high and keep reminding people of the plan. You want to keep doing it in an effective, positive way, okay? These steps lay out who you are and what the team can count on. This can be done on day 1 or in your 20th year, so don't think you can't reinvent yourself now. Don't think you can't change the way you approach things now. And there is an administrator in here who I'm not going to call out because I didn't get permission first, but we had this conversation not too long ago about, hey, you know what? I can see you're struggling to get your staff on board and to help you out and your goals and all that. It's time to do a reset. You need to explain to them who you are, what you're going to do, how they're going to play into it, and it doesn't matter that this has been going on forever. Now, if you do this in year 20, it's a little harder, because once you've lost the team, it's really hard to get them back. And I'm sure all of you have experienced that. I know when I was new to this, I had a lot of people turn their back on me just because I was like, I know what I'm doing. I'm the administrator. Taylor, go paint that office. Thanks, right? Well, eventually they turn on you. And it's hard to get them back, but you can do it. You can do it. If you just train yourself to stick to who you are and create that self-accountability in yourself. I can't tell Love to be on time every day if every day I'm 15 minutes late, right? I can't tell Kim she can't take a smoke break if every day I'm taking 300 smoke breaks. We can't do that. You have to hold yourself to the same standard as the staff that you are supervising, or as the directors that you want to supervise your staff, or the families that come in and visit. If you're telling them, oh, your mom will be so loved and our staff is always attentive and every time they pull up, you're outside smoking a cigarette, that's not really showing them anything, right? Okay, make the plan the standard. You like this little illustration? I'm quite proud of it. You have no idea. Side note, clip art, this was a pain. Trying to get the cogs to actually look like they would turn. It wasn't fun. But I did it, and I want you all to just appreciate it just for a moment. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Well, I could have delegated it and been like, Carolee, make my PowerPoint, but I'm not going to do that. The team now knows who we are and our plan. The cogs are in place in the community machine, but how do you assure each piece is moving in conjunction with the rest? You need to own your plan and get the team to own their part. You need to be interactive, right? There's a reason, for those of you who were sitting at the table with me last night, I ask questions. Chuck, I ask intrusive questions of people. Not personal intrusion, but make them think about who they are and how they operate so that I have a better understanding of who they are and how they operate, right? Chelsea, thank you. How they operate. And I'm going to explain what I'm doing in just a minute, okay? It helps you form a bond with your team, and it helps you understand where they're coming from. People's favorite song tells a lot about them, right? People are drawn to lyrics. People also listen closer when they are laughing. That's a scientific fact, right? So if you are making people laugh at the same time you're engaging them, they're going to remember. How often do you quote comedies? Right? All the time. All the time. People are like, Nacho! Sometimes when you're a man, you wear stretchy pants for fun, right? People like that stuff. Because they laughed, and it created a moment in time that is now burned in your brain. Nobody walks around quoting dramas, right? Nobody's like, hey, you're getting coffee? If I could have just saved one more, right? Nobody quotes Schindler's List or anything like that. They quote comedies because when you're laughing, you're listening, you're burning those memories in your brain. So you got to get your team to own it in whatever you can. You do that by getting to know your team and learning what makes them tick and how they operate, right? Like I know that Caitlin is kind of quiet, right? That's why I'm calling her on purpose. I'm getting her out of Rochelle. Because if Caitlin's going to work with me, she needs to be more out, right? She may never get out, but that's okay. She's laughing. And at first she was just like, I'm like, hi, Caitlin. I'm John. What's going on? Right? You're a lovely person, Caitlin. All right, so how do we become an interactive manager? Yeah. Right? Is that how most of you feel a lot of days? But now that we took away month in review, right, we at least took this tape off your mouth? So we got that going? So an administrator is only as good as the ownership they represent. Ownership takes work. It cannot be done from your office. It cannot be done from your office, right? So if I come in the morning and I'm like, hey, morning everybody, you go do your job, all right? And be over here. I don't know what's happening. Lisa could be making a face at me right now. I don't know, right? So what I'm doing when I'm calling out people's names, last night I asked the Central Region what their spirit animal is. And one of them, whose name rhymes with Jill, said a deer. And so I said, okay. Well, immediately we all started laughing at Jill's choice of a spirit animal because a deer isn't really ferocious, but she has since proven me wrong on that. So I said, tomorrow during my presentation, when I call your name, I want you to instantaneously do this. And that's what I've been doing. It's for fun. But what I did is I made a connection. They remembered it, right? I told them what we were going to do, told them how it was going to happen, told them when it was going to happen, and they were ready, right? Now, Jill's the only one who won't do it, Jill. See, because she's mad because I don't like her spirit animal. But it's those little connections. And the reason they remembered it is because we had a lot of fun, right? I mean, Jill said she's going to report me to HR, but whatever.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, she did report me to HR. But it's fine, I'm over it. I've got a permanent seat in Chris's office anyway. So a manager must be interactive to assure that the team is keeping the overall plan moving forward and taking ownership of the department. So what is interactive management? What is it? Interactive means you follow some simple principles. Those of you who went through training with me and have sat through my trainings before know that these are the same principles I preach all the time, right? Shouldn't be new to you, but it will be new to some. Walk around management. If you are not walking your building, you are not effective. I don't care how hard you're working. I don't care how many reports you did on time. I don't care about any of that. You are not effective. And the reason is, a lot of complaints we get from families is what, Lynn? Take a guess.
We never see the administrator.
We never see the administrator.
Nobody says that about me.
Yep. Have you talked to Barbara about this? Who's Barbara? All right. Did you go to the administrator? Yeah, I went. Taylor said he'd take care of it, never did anything about it. People need to see you out there. Being an administrator is a lot like being a cruise director. How many of you have been on a cruise? All right, not as many as I would have hoped, but that's okay. Cruise directors are everywhere all the time. All the time. It's amazing. You get up in the morning, you hear them over the speaker. Hey, everybody, it's time to come down to breakfast. And then you get down there, they're already at breakfast, right? They've already had breakfast. Then you turn around to leave the dining room, they're dancing out on the floor in a conga line. Then you go inside and they're like, hey, you ready to play bingo? They're everywhere. And it's not because they're necessarily working super hard. They're just always out there walking the building. They're always out there. And they make it a point to say hi to every single person they pass. They do something, right? A pat on the back, but don't do that to me. They do a pat on the back. They say hello. They say good morning. They say, I like your hair. Hey, I saw you in the pool yesterday. Were you having fun? You need to do that while you're walking around. Your staff, your residents, the family members, whoever. Because one simple little interaction embeds in them that you are there and you're always watching. Whenever I'm in a building, what do I do when I walk down the aisle past a med cart? Anybody? I look at the bar. And I also pull on the drawer. A couple times it's been unlocked, but I do it every single time. Every time. And I don't do it like, oh, hello, Joyful. Let's see what you messed up today. Just as I suspected. Everything. No. I don't, no. I just flip through it, and I won't even say anything, good, bad, or indifferent. I just flip through it. I'm like, hey, Joyful, how are you today? Things going okay? I'm like, all right, cool. Well, have a nice day, all right? Joyful's not threatened. Then I might go to Taylor and be like, you need to get her off the med cart right now, right? But what that does is if you do that every time you walk by, and every building I've ever been an administrator in, we never had holes in Mars. Because they knew that every time I walked by, I was going to open it. And then they also knew that if I went a month where my mini audits had no errors,